Good morning and welcome to Willow's Green Permaculture. This morning I'd like to talk about finally cracking the code to getting sweet potato slips to start growing in my cool house in the wintertime. In winter and early spring. I started these in the winter. So if this is something you're interested in, then let's get started. I was trying to get sweet potatoes to grow for the last few years, and they'd always end up rotting on me. And I'd usually do it in late spring, and I'd do it outside in the greenhouse where it was warmer. But they'd still always end up rotting on me because mostly I was using this method, which also works, as you can see. However, I started these sweet potatoes at the same time, and I think I videotaped it, so I'll be able to show it to you. There are two in here, in this bin here, and then there's this one in here. I started them at the same time. They both worked, but clearly this worked better than this. But you can see there's lots of really healthy roots there. And there's some growth, but it's pretty small. And the other challenge here is this potato here, this sweet potato is now stuck in this jar. But if I don't ever plan on removing it, then I'll be fine. I've seen some people growing these things as houseplants, and they just keep them in the jar. So what was the trick to getting this to grow so well? Because I've tried it in bins before, and it still didn't work. Well, the trick finally was, I got inspired when I was doing the ginger ferment video, because the thing is, we only have so many of these heat mats. This year we've got 3 of them. I bought a 3rd one. That's because I had lots of loofah seedlings and some of my peppers, I wanted them on heat mats as well. But I only had 3 of them, and so I didn't have enough for my sweet potatoes. And then when I did that ginger ferment video, I got inspired, and I thought, well, if the yogurt maker can make yogurt bacteria grow and multiply, and if it can make the yeast and the bacteria on the ginger grow and multiply, well, maybe it'll be able to help my sweet potatoes grow. Maybe it'll be warm enough for my sweet potatoes and not too hot. Like I said, I didn't have one of these, but I had my yogurt container. But as you'll see when I show you, when this bin here was sitting on top of the yogurt container, well, it didn't quite come into contact with the hot surface, but it was close enough to it. And this little jar here, I was able to put right on the surface. And so this is the one that actually started sprouting first, if I recall. But then when this started to sprout, it went crazy. Why? Because there's dirt, there's earth, and look at all those roots. Now there's no holes in the bottom of this, so I can't water it too much, but I do have to make sure I keep it moist. And then when my loofahs finally started to sprout, I was able to free up one of these. And when I put this on top of one of these, that's when it really exploded, because this was right in contact with it. So there you go. Now what I'm going to do is cut some of these slips, and I'm going to put them in this jar of water, and I'm probably going to put this onto the seed mat. So the idea is to take some of these longer slips and to cut them, but to obviously leave some of it so that they can continue to grow. And you know, where I cut them, hopefully they'll split, and each stem will turn into 2, maybe even 3 stems, and we'll get a lot more slips. So now I'm going to start looking at the good pieces to cut here. Yep, actually I can see there's at the base of these leaves here, there's some new ones that look like they're about to grow. And so I think I'm going to cut this one right about there. Now I'm going to cut this portion of stem off completely because no roots are going to come from there. The roots will come from here, from the leaf node, which is exactly, if you look here, there's a little, looks like a little leaf here starting to grow. So that could be another vine that could start to grow, but because I've cut it, then it's going to be a root instead. Or well, maybe not this, but a root will sprout out from here. No roots will sprout out from here. Very, very unlikely. But from here, yes. So I'll just cut this right there, like that, and put it in water. Like that. I'm going to cut some more. Here's another one. There were some dead leaves on here. Looks like there's some kind of bug attacking it. You can see little white dots here. I'm not going to worry too much about it though. Don't worry too much about bugs. They're living beings just like us. So this one has all sorts of little leaves that look like they want to grow on here. And so once again, I'm going to cut this little bit of extra stem here so that the roots start to grow out of these leaf nodes. There we go. Let's continue. Another one. Always try and cut as close to the leaf node as possible without actually cutting into the leaf node, because you know the extra stuff might just rot. There are the bugs. Probably whiteflies or something. They appeared when I put this thing onto the heat mat and it started getting the correct amount of heat, and so that extra heat probably just provoked the bugs to hatch from wherever they were. They were probably living on the sweet potato I bought. I bought it at a market. There we go. All done. I'll put this back on the heat mat, and this too. And this too, I think I'm going to put back on the heat mat. Today is Friday, May 15th. We're only 2 days since I trimmed these sweet potatoes and recorded it. You just saw it. And put the slips into this water. It's only been 2 days, and the slips did not have any roots when I cut them. You saw them when I cut them. So let's have a closer look after just 2 days. Now they're on the heat mat, as well as these, and as well as some backup loofahs that I put. Most of my loofahs are planted in paper pots, decomposable pots, but these ones are in large, almost 1 gallon pots. Okay, so let's have a look at these sweet potato slips. After only 2 days in just regular water, but putting it on this heat mat, look at those. Look at that root growth. Exactly where I had said that it would come out, in the leaf nodes where I cut the leaves. You see, look, there's one of those little tiny leaves. You know, there's the cut stem. There's one of those little tiny leaves that I showed you that looked like it wanted to grow, and then the roots are growing out the bottom. Look, you can actually see this one right down here has grown a little bit. Wow, the leaf, it looks like a stem is about to start growing there. So it looks like I'm gonna have a lot of sweet potato plants from slips. And from this, I could, you know, when it's warm enough outside, I can transplant this whole thing into the ground. And then this here, this which is growing the most slowly. And this potato slowly moved down And now it's jammed in here. It's going to be hard to get it out of this jar if I want to get it out. Or I could just leave it in this jar and just grow this as a houseplant, an edible houseplant, because you can eat these leaves. We'll see. We will see. Saturday, May 16th, next day. These roots have grown more visibly in a day. This is incredible. Beautiful. Tuesday, May 19th. Look at all those roots. The plants are growing as well. And then over here, I've got some more stems that I could cut for more slips and put in some more water. Maybe do that in the next couple days. And this guy is just moving along slowly. Gotta put some more water in there. I hope you liked the video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, don't hesitate to put them in there. I answer all the questions and respond to all the comments. Thank you very much for watching. Have a wonderful week, and we will see you next time. Great white trillium. Trillium grandiflorum. Dutchman's breeches. Dicentra cucullaria. Purple flowering quince, Chenomeles japonica.